massive gratitude and respect to all the heroes and heroines of the NHS. And to all of you working in the healthcare sector and keeping the wheels of your respective economies turning during the pandemic. Had a slight diversion today. Roads were closed, so I had to go back across Tower Bridge and then over here, Westminster Bridge. Nice little opportunity to get out of the house. Last time before I have to isolate for 14 days ahead of my operation. Gotta have the appendix out, so I'm gonna take on a little training at the inner circle just to get some fresh air, and it's really cold. My mouth is struggling to move. So this morning it's an unusual training session. I got 20 minutes alternating 1 minute at 220 watts, 85 RPM, 1 minute 250 watts, 105 RPM, i.e. 10 times each of those, straight into 3 minutes at 335 watts, 3 minutes recovery at 190, repeat 3 times, and then back in to the cadence over and unders.
The cadence over and unders are a very clever and immersive way to commence the efforts today. Kudos, said Laverack. It enables us to focus on the quality of the breathing and the heart rate maintenance, plus a nice planted position on the bike. The contrast between the low and high cadence feels great. And on the 80 to 85 RPM work, I really enjoy feeling the hams and the quads work a little bit harder, with the added benefit, I think, of firing up the nervous system, setting things up perfectly for the challenge of the VO2 Max 3x3 minute efforts with recovery in zone 2 to come in just a second. Yes, I do lack imagination, but even in quiet London in lockdown, with the circuits closed, I personally prefer the sanctuary and the safety of the inner circle at Regent's Park, affording uninterrupted efforts. It's basically an outdoor turbo trainer. And round I go, the original NASCAR rider within the virtual peloton. The sensation of laying down the high-end VO2 Max power outside is very rewarding and exhilarating, and I'm pleased to see that the power developed indoors is still translating out.
Well, as ever, Ed's intervals definitely warmed me up, and they were very much on point. Those 1 minute cadence over and under intervals at 85 RPM and 95 RPM got the mind muscle connection working perfectly, and fired up the nervous system and prepared the body beautifully for those 3 minute efforts, where I reckon I stayed in or above the power range throughout. It's quite difficult actually recovering at 190 to 210 watts, i.e. upper zone 2 for me, ahead of those. And definitely during those 3 minute efforts, there are periods where I was in the nice kind of 95 to 100 RPM, and little periods where I was kind of grinding a little bit just to sustain the power. So once again, those over and under intervals really helped beforehand. Then another block of 10 minutes over and under cadence intervals, and then I decided to garnish things with an unexpected 20-minute block at tempo. Really enjoyed myself. Starting to get a bit cold now. Time to get home and have the post-ride nutrition. Now, if you struggle to eat your veg, take a leaf out of Jane's book and stick them into a curry. Look at this. All the good carbs here. The veg providing vitamins, minerals, nutrients and fibre, and obviously loads of great carbs from the rice. Perfect for health, perfect for athletic performance. Well, the level of excitement is high this morning because look what's arrived. 2 of these 5 kilogram plates to go onto the trap bar to take the overall weight from 70 kilograms to 80 kilograms to build a bit more power and strength through the posterior chain, i.e. the back, the core, the glutes, the hamstring, and also a little bit of quads because it is after all the trap bar. But additionally, this also arrived, a 20 kilogram kettlebell. Not quite as rare, but pretty expensive, I've got to say, more than £100. So single leg deadlifts and trap bar deadlifts are on the agenda, hopefully to build a bit more power, explosive power that's going to transfer to the crank on the watt bike and outdoors. Now, if you don't have a kettlebell for the single leg deadlift, improvise one using a carrier bag full of books or indeed a rucksack full of books. Does the job just as well. Here we go. Foot just to the side of the dumbbell, shoulders back, chest up, air in through the mouth and nose, get that core nice and full. Trailing leg nice and straight, chest up, core tight, extend through the hips.
Key here is to get your chest up and lock out your lower back and keep it locked out throughout the movement. Then push the floor away with your foot, squeeze the hamstring of your working leg and then squeeze both glutes hard in order to extend through with the trailing leg and then the hips. Steady yourself, feel your core, brace your abs and repeat.
Stopping the rep when the speed of the kettlebell slows. Onto the other leg.
These develop even power and strength through both the stabilising muscles as well as the glutes, the hamstrings, core and the back. And with practice, this is a feel-good movement. It develops even power through the crank.
Great. Oh, great for the mind muscle connection. And you might wobble around a little bit. If you do, don't worry too much. Focus on the quality of the movement, getting yourself stable ahead of starting each rep. About 1 minute away from commencing the second block of 13 30-30s. Each of the 30-second sprints is at 130 to 133% of FTP, i.e. 385 to 400 watts, so it's fully anaerobic and complements beautifully the strength training earlier, which is obviously very anaerobic too. First of 13. And as always, the first 2 or 3 sets feel quite easy, but it soon creeps up on you. Recovery at 160 to 200 watts. And the reason I like to pair an anaerobic cycling training with a strength training, because the strength is also anaerobic, fires up the muscles, ramps up the nervous system, and I personally believe can be complementary to this kind of training. And because it's anaerobic in nature, the metabolism will be increased and I'll be burning calories for long after the training's over. Heart rate is higher than the same point in the first block, partly because I'm talking. ERG is not engaged. Erg mode is not engaged. Too much of a lag on 30-second efforts like this. You lose all the punch. Proper difficult. 10 to go. I'll report back. Well, it's been about 6 weeks since I've shifted 80 kilograms or more on a conventional deadlift in the gym, so this is a big jump upwards. I'm hoping that the single leg deadlifts and one set with 70 on the trap bar, 8 powerful reps, will have warmed up the posterior chain nicely. Let's see how we go. I've got a nice side angle here so we can evaluate the health of the back during a lift, i.e. nice straight back, chest up. Obviously knees out over the toes, extend through the hips.
On other days, you'll see that I sometimes pair 8 to 10 sets of all body strength training with the emphasis on the upper torso, or indeed all of it upper body training ahead of a zone 2 or tempo training session on the bike. I won't train the lower body a couple of days before a Zwift race, or indeed the day before a tough interval training on the bike, in order to leave the legs as fresh as possible.
Oh, definitely that extra 10 kilograms makes a big difference. If I was in a gym with more plates, I'd probably only gone up 2.5 to 5 in total. They felt all right. As always, stopping the reps when the bar speed slowed. Power is the emphasis. 2 to go.
I've been learning to let my jaw hang open in order to welcome in as much as possible aerobic oxygen fuel. And as you know, I'm partial to the rapid RPM. High cadence is key for me.
Horrible.
For me, intensity of training through both the strength and the VO2 Max and anaerobic efforts on the bike is integral to fat loss. And during the festive 500, whilst the kilometres and the calories burned during the training were much higher, 30 to 40% higher, my body weight didn't shift a jot. And I reckon that's because the strength and the super high intensity efforts on the bike went on a bit of a back burner. Plus, there was a bit of extra chocolate and cake, I grant you. However, I also reckon it's because I wasn't getting that raised metabolism and calories being burned long after the training ended.
The lactic acid is perfection, exquisite. Come on now. And combined with the stress, the anaerobic stress of the strength training, that's a big stress on the body for this morning. Had a full rest day yesterday, much easier tomorrow. Focus on nutrition to replenish glycogen stores and repair muscle damage, and hopefully good sleep. As an addendum, I should say that this was a fasted training with about 130 milligrams of caffeine and just the amino acids and lots of water. I ate loads of carbs yesterday. The muscle stores were full of glycogen when I woke up this morning. And this strength training and 2 blocks of 30-30 is at the limit of what I can personally do without ingesting carbohydrates first. But I hope that by training like this, the nervous system's ramped up, cortisol and adrenaline have been in full flow during the training, and therefore they're breaking down body fat to create energy via liposis. That's the hope.